Good evening to everyone, and for those who know me, don't worry, I'm timed, so no long monologue. With this said, in the past, well, since the 70s, the global economy has gone through various waves of banking disintermediation. The first one started when companies, specifically in the investment grade kind of bracket, started to try to find lower borrowing costs outside of the banking system. Fast forward to 2022, we have started the sixth wave of disintermediation, asset-based finance. So, in the past 6 years, private credit have actually grown 40% CAGR. But now, as geopolitical risks hit the market and we hear about funds gating some investor money and even some investors talking about a new great financial crisis, kind of a financial and economical Armageddon. So where are we standing? So it is true that part of the market, specifically business developing cooperation, share some similarities with what happened about 20 years ago with collateralized debt structures. Typically, opacity of asset-backed structures, liquidity mismatch, leverage, counterparty uncertainty, last but not least, forced sales into a liquid market. Now, what are these BDCs? It is nothing else than the industry answer to institutional investors wanting their investments to be more liquid. In other words, the industry tapping into private wealth and, in certain cases, even retail investor money, whether or not these investors know fully the extent of risk, specifically liquidity risk, of these BDCs. Now, these business development companies right now are worth $180 billion, or 5.5% of the total private credit global market. So, I would not say irrelevant, but so minimal that you can actually hardly see it on any of these two charts. Now, at UBP, we're not product pushers, and specifically now, we are not actively reaching out to our clients to discuss private markets and more specifically to discuss evergreens. This being said, on reverse solicitation, we might discuss the topic with some clients. There are a few conditions. The first one, clients must be professional and they must have the knowledge and experience. Second thing, potential private market exposure must answer clear client needs. Let me give you two examples that actually fairly recently happened to us. So a lady already had, and again, professional, already had quite a fair exposure to gold as an inflation kind of edge. So what to do? Adding more gold? Yes, no? Well, potentially go into private infrastructure that are, by definition, a hedge versus inflation, and in addition, they actually pay cash flow, so quite nice. Another example is fairly recently an investor that had a little bit too less exposure to publicly traded equities, but compared to the risk profile, but wanted to get there. Problem, valuation were, from his perspective, too high. Private equity might be the solution. Last, but definitely not least, it is very important to highlight that private market investments are long-term commitment of financial resources. So at UBP, how do we tackle the private market kind of pocket of clients? Well, usually we start building fairly fast an exposure through flagship funds of well-known managers. And as time goes on, we invest opportunistically in niche products or even direct deals. With this, thank you very much. Can we do it?